Hi everyone, my name's Sian. I'm the Trainee Curator over here at Wheal Martyn, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the projects that I've been working on. So we are currently in the pan kiln at Wheal Martyn. It's being renovated at the moment because at the end the mica dry is being renovated into a new exhibition space, really exciting, the first temporary exhibition space. So we are at Pit View. So for those of you who don't know, Wheal Martyn is a china clay mining museum. Possibly the only one in Europe, certainly the only one in the UK. China clay is mined from a pit like this, from compressed granite. So monitors wash out the clay and we get a nice bit of clay slurry at the bottom, and then it's pumped from this pit, powered by water wheels that you saw earlier. And that's taken over to the various settling tanks where the clay is refined and thickens and dries and becomes a better consistency, not just liquid. Pit View is owned by Imerys. It is a working pit, so it's really, really exciting. It actually used to be two pits. It was owned by Goonveen, which owned Greensplat, and Wheal Martyn pit was owned by Imerys, or English China Clays originally. So now it's one great big pit. And the thing is with China clay pits is that they can't just be mined down like this. They have to go wide and then down, wide and then down. So that's why you get the strange kind of contouring of Wheal Martyn pit there. So we are in the woodland area of Wheal Martyn. Did you know Wheal Martyn had a woodland area? You do now. Part of the changing china clay industry is the fact that there's more an awareness now that the landscape of this area of Cornwall has been completely changed by china clay mining. So if you go back a few decades ago, this area of Cornwall used to be called the Cornish Alps because you'd have those very iconic white sky tips. The whole landscape would be quite white. It would look very different to what it is today. So in the 70s, Imerys, which are the biggest china clay mining company, certainly here in Cornwall and Devon, started hydro seeding. So what they did is that they sprayed sort of ground and plants and fertiliser onto waste tips and areas to kind of re-green these areas. And this woodland here would have been possibly planted by the Martyn family to kind of obscure their view of the pit, because the pits themselves arguably are not the most beautiful to some people. I quite like the look of them myself, but they have changed the landscape considerably. So one of the projects I've been working on is looking at our guidebook and updating certain bits of information and things like that. And I have learned so much about Wheal Martyn and the china clay mining industry and just this area of Cornwall where I'm from. So I don't know if you know, but at one point, Carthew House, which was owned by the Martyn family, when it changed hands, in English China Clay owned it briefly, they housed a geological department. So for a brief spell of time, this little area of mid-Cornwall had the most important international centre, perhaps in the world, for kaolin research. So there was a team of house geologists that worked there. One of them, Colin Bristow, actually handpicked 12, well, I don't think he handpicked them, he probably couldn't carry them, but there's 12 boulders here in the boulder park, and they were each selected for their rareness and their importance to this area of mid-Cornwall. So this is the Wheal Renfrew breccia. Impressed with myself that I remembered it. So this is the site of scientific interest at Wheal Martyn, chosen because this granite here is an excellent example of granite before it goes through the kaolinisation process. So kaolin is another name for china clay. So this is the crib hut. So crib is a Cornish dialect word. It means lunch. I think it was only used in the china clay mining industry. So it's quite particular to mid-Cornwall, in this area of Cornwall. This is where the workers would come and eat their lunch and have a chat and things like that. So an essential role within the china clay mining industry was that of the kettle boy or the kettle girl, mostly young boys though. And these were young boys that worked straight out of school, you know, some as young as 12, 13, 14, and their whole role would be to make the crib for lunch. So they'd be making teas, they'd be rushing around to different sites in the china clay pits, making sure that the men have their lunch and their teas and their water. So it cannot be understated just how important the china clay mining industry is to this area of Cornwall, not only Cornwall as a whole, but to St Austell and the surrounding areas especially. And that's another big reason why I wanted this job. Yes, I wanted to work in museums, but I'm actually from St Austell myself, and almost everyone you meet has some kind of connection to the china clay mining industry. So my great-grandfather worked for English China Clays for 40 odd years. And almost everyone you speak to here will have a very, very similar story. So china clay mining was one of the biggest industries in the whole of Cornwall. And in fact, it is still a current industry. And I don't think a lot of people are quite aware of that. And this area of mid-Cornwall generates a huge amount of income and money. So this exhibition here is a joint venture between Falmouth art students and professional artists who have visited Wheal Martyn and the china clay landscape and have been influenced by that landscape. So the landscape itself has influenced filmmakers, Doctor Who was filmed here decades ago, so it's influenced a lot of different people. So it's very important to this area of Cornwall. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed my last 2 months working here, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the next 8 months. Seven months. China clay is in everything. Over there we have the site of scientific excellence. So, of interest, not excellence. I'll do that again.
What I do is...
We'll just edit that bit out.
Well, we'll edit that bit out.
So we are in the woodland area. The men have their lunch and their teas and their water.
Ooh.
There.